So is a Tex Revolt even possible? I have to say Tex because if I put an A in there, apparently the new management doesn't like that word because they don't want us discussing that, because that would be something that's concrete. That would be something that, like, you know, is measurable, not just owning the right or owning the left, whatever. You know, so when it comes to your money, that's one of those things that, you know, nobody wants you discussing your money, because as soon as you discuss money, well, then politics pretty much goes out the window. Money is the great equalizer when it comes to something like that, especially when it's hard money. So let me talk to you about the Tex Revolt. Is a Tex Revolt possible? No. That's the short answer. If you just wanted the short answer, keep doom scrolling. You know, you're 45 seconds in, that's most people. So yeah, I mean, just keep right on going. But if you want to have a little bit of a deep dive, I'll explain to you why that is. And that's because in any economy, what's an economy? It's just people. Any economy where there's a group of people that are engaged in commerce, there's two parts to it. The first part is the money part. That's the part everybody's obsessed with, because that's what you've been told to. You've been told to focus on money. The other part is production or productivity. Nobody thinks about that one. Very few people do. The people who think about production or productivity are the people who are told, well, you have to work to make money. Yeah, see, that would be the working class, right? So this the people that get taken advantage of all the time. So those are the people who go do all the stuff that you don't want to do or you can't do. So that's how you know if you're in the working class. Are you the ones doing all the work? And is it stuff that other people don't want to do or they can't do for themselves? Because if that's what it is, then congratulations, you're part of the working class. That includes quite a few people, actually, just so you know. So you have to be productive. And if you're productive, well, then someone has to pay you. Well, they don't really want to pay you, right? That's why they inflate your currency. That's why they conjure dollars out of nothing and just keep inflating your spending power away, because they don't want to pay you in anything. And they certainly don't want to pay you in any kind of hard money, which is why a Tex Revolt won't work. Because, see, they can still just keep printing dollars, right? It doesn't make any difference. If you withhold Tex, if you withhold Tex, that only works in a hard money economy. It doesn't work in a money conjured out of nothing economy, because they'll just keep conjuring money out of nothing. And because there's so many goons that will accept money that's conjured from nothing, that would be your pigs and other various idiots that will keep accepting this, they will go out and menace your life because they're still being paid to do so, right? Because they're still getting fake money printed, and they can use that fake money at the company store. Why can they use it at the company stores? Well, it's because a bunch of fake money was printed, and that was used to buy up all of the means of production. So not just the production, but the means of production. That used to be owned by people. Okay, not commie people. You know, settle down, stop foaming at the mouth. But so my commie people all think, oh yeah, the power to the people. No. The government didn't own all that stuff. Actual people owned that. Those were called small businesses. They were in fact businesses. Okay, they had an owner. The owner was a guy who usually did something in his shop, and he was the owner of his small business. So he owned his means of production, and then he also owned his labor on top of that. It's a foreign concept to most people right now because you guys are too far down the road. You've been so demoralized. In fact, so many people in this world have been so insanely demoralized that, like, what I just said, like, is mind-blowing to people. Like, yeah, imagine, like, owning your means of production and then also owning your own life on top of that, and then owning your own labor and then having first claim to it. Right? I mean, yeah, that was normal, by the way, in the U.S. In fact, the entire United States was founded on that whole idea, right? That was founded entirely on that idea. Well, that got lost. That got lost. And so, yeah, so Tex Revolts won't work because they'll just keep printing dollars to pay goons. Okay, are we on the same page? I want to make sure that we're 100% crystal clear on that. That's why they don't work. They further don't work because there's a whole bunch of very unproductive people who are socialists, that they love to think of themselves as like these benevolent capitalists. that they own property and they charge rents and blah blah blah. Yeah, they're socialists, and they don't want people to not pay taxes. They want that to keep going up. In fact, and they don't want people disobeying goons. Right? They love gooning. They want goons to go out there and destroy people. That's how it works. So they want all that. I mean, you have to look at I don't care what their words say. Watch what their actions are. So, I mean, if you want a shortcut in life, let me help you out with something here. Let me tell you something that's not in your textbooks. There was a guy named it wasn't Freud. It was his friend. I just had his name, Carl Jung. And Carl Jung had this idea that if you can't figure out why somebody's doing something, just look at the results of what they're doing, and then you can infer that, well, that's probably why they're doing it. Because if you can't figure out why they're doing it, and they don't know why they're doing it, just look at the results that they keep getting, and that's probably why they're doing it. Well, that's the same thing for people who support goons and military twats and all of this. It's because they want endless gooning. They want massive taxes. They want all this. Obviously, clearly they do. Because otherwise they would be saying to those goons, like, dude, you need to quit, like, right now. Right? I mean, there's just certain stuff I can't say on the internet, apparently. But, like, Article 2 of the Bill of Rights is like, well, you're supposed to be able to, like, deal with the goons, decisively if need be. So, yeah, that's why ultimately you have too many people that support goons. This is the whole back the blue nonsense and everything, and support MO troops and all that bullshit. And so you've got that, and you've got all these people that just, like, that's what it is. So until enough people figure this out and realize that you're being ripped off and start focusing on the money instead of trying to figure out how to own the left or own the right, like this stupid stuff like that. Start talking about the money. Because you go into the money issue, all that stuff fades. It becomes noise, basically. And especially if you know what you're looking at. Remember, focus on an actual goal, and then maybe you'll hit it.